This is OneWrestling.com, 24/7 wrestling news.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Big Ray's Wrestling Show. I'm the Mark of the Masses, the man with the plan. Big Ray here today to talk with a very, very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, since 1998, the host, lead analyst, creator, and the executive producer of one of the most popular shows in the IWC. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Pro Wrestling Report, let's welcome Dameon Nelson. Dameon, how are you, buddy?
Ray, I'm absolutely tremendous today. How are you?
I am sick as a dog.
How sick does a dog get?
The dog gets relatively sick, sir, but I'm not feeling too good. But I'm very happy to have you on. You're a very prominent member of the IWC, and a lot of people really are excited to know that I have you on. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. I wanted to get to know you a little bit about you, Dameon, a little bit about Pro Wrestling Report. From what I know, you guys started back in 1998, small call-in show. Now you guys are on My 24 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You guys have 540 ESPN radio in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You guys have over 10 million views on YouTube. You guys have thousands of Twitter followers. How did you go from where you started to where you are now, and how did you become a wrestling fan? Tell us about the WrestleMania 3 story.
Ray, wow, you loaded a lot in that one. That's good, though. Why don't we just start at WrestleMania 3? That was the event by which I became a wrestling fan. Every year or every WWE pay-per-view back in the day, as you know, pay-per-views were fewer and far more frequent. My aunt would have a family party at her house, as the entire family were wrestling fans, at least on a casual nature. And for whatever reason, that particular event stuck. And ever since then, I was a diehard wrestling fan. It was what I watched each and every week when it was on Wrestling Challenge on Saturday nights at 10:30 on Channel 18 here in Milwaukee, and then Superstars Sunday mornings at 11 when my mother didn't drag me to church. Funny story about that, actually. There was the 1987 or 88 Slammies or something like that, and they aired in syndication in place of Superstars, I believe, or after Superstars on a Sunday morning. Okay. I can't describe how livid I was that I could not watch the Slammies because we had to go to church. That's how diehard a wrestling fan I was. And from that, it spilled over to some 10 years later, realizing that as a wrestling fan, there was not a one-stop shop for wrestling news, information, and opinion, and that being presented in an entertaining fashion. So we had a public access channel on cable here in Milwaukee, not Wayne's World, even though it was set in Milwaukee, I believe, in the basement. But decided to just go down and give it a try and see what a little wrestling talk show could do. It was a live 30-minute show, a broadcast debut on March 18, 1998. Overwhelming success, very happy. The second show, however, not as successful. We got a little complacent and had a lot of prank calls because we were a live call-in show, and it just kept going from there. 1999, we expanded into some other cable markets in southeastern Wisconsin, added a few people to the team. 2001, we actually had our first stint on broadcast television on WJJA, low-power UHF channel in the Milwaukee area. That only lasted about 3 or 4 months due to just a real unfavorable deal between both us and the station. And then from there in 2008, as you said, we moved on to 540 ESPN radio as they wanted some additional local programming. We were on for 2 hours every Monday night after WWE Raw, and that really was the huge growth period for the show. We did that for 3 years until we decided not to renew our contract with them due to another contract we had just signed, which was that with My 24 Milwaukee, the Sinclair Broadcasting Channel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They had just picked up Ring of Honor Wrestling. As you know, Sinclair owns Ring of Honor, and they were looking for some complimentary program to Ring of Honor Wrestling, and we reached out to them. They reached out to us. We signed a deal, and for the last 2.5 years now, we've been every Saturday night a staple in southeastern Wisconsin on broadcast television, and really as a result of just the fans watching and tuning in each and every week, from our public access days through our radio days, now through our television days on My 24 Milwaukee. But the key to it all is we are still just fans. sitting there talking wrestling.
Interesting. And speaking about the fans, it's a perfect segue into my next question. And my question to you is, and I'm sure a lot of the fans that are going to watch this are going to want to know what your feelings are on the IWC. Now, we had spoken off air a couple of times regarding the IWC, regarding trolls, and regarding people who just watch the product to trash the product. And my question to you is, how do you feel about the internet wrestling community? How has it helped PWR show, Dameon Nelson, Kaz, Meathead, David Hero, all of you guys? How does it help you guys go from where you were to where you are now?
Without the internet, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's actually, we started broadcasting or making the shows available on the internet back in 2006 via YouTube. We had had a disagreement with the public access cable station, or actually at that point it was a state-owned station that we were broadcasting on, and said, you know what, I don't need you, and took the show to YouTube, and from there it grew. And as you said earlier, we're now nearing some 12 million cumulative views on YouTube, over 20,000 subscribers. It's been a great vehicle for us to reach a brand new audience and to remain consistent with that audience, with delivering a consistently timed and scheduled product on YouTube. But as far as the internet wrestling community goes, they are a very passionate, small group of the overall wrestling audience. We talk to a lot of people in the business. One of those people is one of the most brilliant men in the business, Al Snow, who always says that only about 10% of wrestling fans are on the internet watching shows like ours, or reading the news, or reacting to what is going on. And even considering that, as I said before, it's a very vocal audience. They're very passionate. And sometimes that passion is mistaken for, negativity, if you will. Right. It is so much easier to criticize something than it is to praise something. Our society in general is so much more quick to criticize something than to praise something. Our society in general and the internet wrestling community is so much more quick to admit or want to show they were right than to admit they were wrong. I give you a prime example. Our YouTube channel, we leave it open for comments. We let people comment on our broadcasts. Right. And we monitor those comments, and we see them all. And while an individual comment never means anything to us if it's negative, a trend of comments does mean a lot. And in this business, as you know, it's all about trends. It's not about one-offs. You can have a great week. You can follow that up with the worst week you've ever had, and then come back and have the best week you ever had. But when they talk and just, it's all about, a show like ours is all about opinion. It's my opinion, it's Dave's opinion, it's Linda's opinion, it's Frank's opinion. Nobody's ever said whether or not those opinions are right or wrong. It's an opinion. And it's fascinating sometimes how people come on and share their opinion, which is that our opinion is stupid and dumb, or great and brilliant, only because it is either different or the same as their opinion. It's a funny and fascinating dynamic. It provides me with great entertainment on a weekly basis. But, what I do wish from the internet wrestling community is, to look at the bigger picture. It's not about your tweet. It's not about your Facebook post. It's not about your comment. It's about those trends, and it's about your appreciation for the product that is being brought to you by WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Shimmer, Shikara, whoever, and appreciating the good things about that product, but being constructive in your criticism about that product. You can't expect Raw to be the best 3 hours of TV you've ever seen each and every week of the year. That is impossible. It will never happen. You can't expect TNA to be the best 2 hours of wrestling TV you're going to see each year, every week. It's just not going to happen. You follow baseball, I'm sure. You're up in the New York area, right?
I'm a diehard Yankee fan, yes, sir.
You got the Giants. You got the baseball teams up there.
That's fine. We have the Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Yankees. We have the Knicks, and we have the Brooklyn Nets.
They lose a game here and there, right?
Apparently so.
Wrestling does the same thing. They lose a game here or there. Take it with a grain of salt and move with it, go along with it and enjoy it. What I would love to see from the internet wrestling community is just more global scope, more big picture view, and more understanding that just because they knew or know this great guy in Ring of Honor, this great guy in the Indies, and once this great guy gets signed by WWE or TNA, that just because he doesn't become world champion right away, he's not being buried.
Right.
Just because a person loses a match on Raw, they're not getting buried. Just because a person loses a match on Impact, they're not getting buried. What I love as well is how the internet wrestling community likes to throw around terms so much. Ooh, this person deserves a push. This person's being buried. This person's in the doghouse. Well, Vince McMahon says, I love the fact that I'm one of very few people outside of WWE or outside the wrestling performance business per se who has had the opportunity to meet Vince McMahon.
Okay.
And having met him on 2 occasions, I can't tell you what he's thinking. So it's always fascinating to me when people are saying Vince McMahon thinks or Vince McMahon likes. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows but Vince McMahon. That's almost as much as me sitting here trying to say what you're thinking right now.
Right.
That is just not possible. In closing on that question, I wish the internet wrestling community would sit back and do more to enjoy the broadcast and enjoy Raw and enjoy Impact and enjoy the pay-per-views. Point out the faults as you see them. Yes, do that. Do it in a constructive manner, though. Do it in a way that growth can come from it or great discussion can be spurred from it.
Well, much like myself and Bill Apter here at OneWrestling.com, we try to emphasize and accentuate the positives over the negatives. Now, I've gotten a lot of tweets, a lot of questions regarding the fact that how come TNA is not, how come they're not covered the same way WWE is? And I think we spoke about this off air. If you can elaborate.
Well, 5 million people on average a week watch Raw on Monday night. 3 million on average a week watch SmackDown on Friday nights. 1 million people watch Impact on Thursday nights. Our coverage is relative to the audience. So, yeah, WWE is going to get a lot more coverage. TNA, great organization. There's nothing wrong with TNA. Well, there's a lot of stuff wrong with both companies. TNA is a great organization. They present great product, but quite frankly, the honest truth, fans care less in mass about TNA than they do WWE. Keep in mind the product that we present is primarily produced for television, which is a vastly different product that is produced than what is produced for the internet, which is typically short-form, quick-hit videos. Right. We don't do that. We have to satisfy a number of audiences, and we're very conscious of that. It's funny, and I know you guys, especially the legendary Bill Apter, do your best to cover everything equally at your tremendous website, OneWrestling.com. One of the few wrestling websites worth going to, by the way, because you don't play the sensationalization game, you actually report. But we do a post show for Impact every week. We have for the last 2.5 years. We do a post show for Raw every week. So you talk about equal coverage. There it is. You want to look at the numbers, you'll see that fewer people watch and tune into the Impact-based programming than do the WWE-based program. And at the end of the day, much like OneWrestling.com, much like WWE, much like TNA, PWR is a business. And all of these things cost us money to do. If the revenues aren't matching the cost to do it, as what's her name on? You watch the show on, I get laughed at sometimes for saying this, on the Oprah Winfrey Network called Welcome to Sweetie Pies.
I have never watched Oprah Winfrey's Network, my friend.
St. Louis, fantastic food. But the lady who owns it, she says, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. And quite frankly, we here at PWR have done a lot of things that have lost us a lot of money in the interest of what the fans wanted. But now, you just, and it gets to a point where as a business, you got to look at these numbers, you got to look at these analytics, you got to look at this data and make the decision to focus on the majors and focus on what can be delivered and deliver not necessarily quantity, but quality. And, we spend a lot of time with a lot of people in TNA. We spend a lot of time talking internally about TNA. I watch TNA Impact when it's live each and every time. But when it's taped, let's be honest, much like SmackDown for many of us, I'll watch it on delay. I don't necessarily get home to tune in and watch it straight away. Everybody watches Monday Night Raw. So I think that probably still won't be enough of an explanation for some people, but to me, it is a logical explanation as to the balance of coverage. It's almost asking why your local newscaster doesn't cover, let's say in the Milwaukee market, why they cover the Brewers and the Bucks a lot more than high school sports or the other leagues or the Arena Football League or the Milwaukee Admirals of hockey or the Milwaukee Waves of soccer. Less interest in those particular sports than the major league sports. And WWE is the major league of wrestling.
No, I think it's a very fair answer. you gave, and a very poignant one. I mean, people have to understand that TNA eventually will compete, and I don't think they even have to really compete with the WWE. They have their own niche. I think the in-ring performances are a lot better. Personally, this is my opinion. I think they're a lot better than the WWE right now. And I think eventually TNA will grow, just like WCW started in a very small venue in Florida. So, I mean, you have to give everything a chance. But let's move on. We don't have too much time. I really want to get to this speed round of questions.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna throw it at you. I'm gonna throw some questions at you. I want to give me one-word answers. Now, the only thing is the last two questions, I will let you quickly, and I mean quickly, elaborate on why you gave these answers. You ready, buddy?
I am ready.
All right, here we go.
My ink pen, just in case.
All right, no problem. Okay, got my pen too. All right, so we got my first question to you is, who is the best wrestler today?
Best wrestler today. Wrestler. That's a tough one, Ray.
Okay.
And I'm buying time here because I'm leaning between two people, and I would have to say the best wrestler today is the man who says he is the best in the world at what he does, CM Punk.
CM Punk. Thank you. Yours too. CM Punk. Okay, well, what about the best wrestler of yesterday?
Best wrestler of yesterday, the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Ah, easy.
By and far.
All right, let's say 10 years from now, the best wrestler in the future.
10 years from now, the best wrestler in the future is probably working at the indie wrestling event down the road from you. So that was difficult to answer, but I would say of the current roster, of the current young people in wrestling who have potential, you got to look at a Dolph Ziggler. He's got time ahead of him. He's in his early 30s, and he's got an amazing amount of. I'm elaborating more than you asked me to, but sorry about that. I feel the need to. He has that certain it factor, if you will, and I think he's that guy.
Okay, let's move on quickly. Fabulous Moolah or Trish Stratus?
By and far, the Fabulous Moolah.
Very good.
She was women's champion for
82 years.
She was 8.
We got as a manager now. Paul Heyman or Bobby the Brain Heenan?
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay. As an announced team, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler or Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon?
By and far, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. They had much less to work with than did JR and the King.
Okay, very true. I got to agree with you really quickly. I mean, I thought that they made some of the, I know I don't like to call them squash matches, but they were where they are. I mean, they made those matches a lot of fun to watch back in the day, primetime wrestling, one of my favorite shows. But we'll quickly move on.
Okay. So talk about those two. Look at any WWF pay-per-view from 1992, and you will see why they are the best pair in history. From the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania 8 to SummerSlam. And SummerSlam 92, by the way, was Heenan and McMahon, I believe. Right. But still, just an amazing year from those two.
Okay. As a heel, Roddy Piper or CM Punk?
Roddy Piper. He was ahead of his time.
Okay. As a faction, Four Horsemen, the NWO, or DX?
The first two changed professional wrestling as we knew it at the time. I'm going to have to go with overall span of entire time, the Four Horsemen.
I got to agree with you. All right, the last two questions. You ready? If you can start a feud to start your company, pick these two tag teams. You ready? The Road Warriors, the Brainbusters, the New Age Outlaws, the Hart Foundation, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, or Edge and Christian. Which two tag teams would you start a feud with to start your company?
As an upstart, it would definitely be the Road Warriors for the look. It would definitely be going up against them. I would say probably the New Age Outlaws for the work rate. Okay,
very cool. And the final question. If you're going to start your company with a singles feud, you have two superstars, just two superstars you can choose. You have a choice of, and I know I'm going to get my butt kicked because I'm going to leave some guys out, but it is what it is. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man Randy Savage, or John Cena.
From starting out, obviously, and you said you might leave some people out. The two people I would start with would be Cody Rhodes and Cody Rhodes.
Seriously?
I'm serious.
Oh, really?
He's a superstar. Come on now, Ray. You know this.
Over these guys?
Well, here's the thing. Cody Rhodes would be part of the roster that would be started by the two men known as Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rock, because everybody who worked under them and would work under them would benefit from their brilliance in the ring, on the microphone, and that connection that they can make with the audience.
Very cool, very cool. And last but not least, do you Fandango?
Well,
come on.
In the shower this morning.
You know what? We'll just end it with that because I don't want to know anything.
You know what? Let me say this about Fandango.
What's up?
And back to the IWC point.
Okay.
Brodus Clay, Fandango, two prime examples. What the heck did WWE do? They ruined this guy. They made him a cartoon character. Who is Fandango? It'll never work. 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 Brodus Clay has worked. Fandango worked. Absolutely. And it shows right there that wrestling today is not about wrestling. It's about entertainment and total package, and a performer being able to get you to either love them or hate them, perform in the ring at least a little bit, and keep you engaged in their plight, either their willingness or ability to win, or the same thing, to lose.
Well, Dameon, listen, I want to sincerely express my appreciation for having you here at OneWrestling.com. Bill, by the way, Bill Apter says hello.
Hello, Bill.
And I wanted the fans to know, where can we find PWR Show on Facebook? How can we follow you on Twitter, so on and so forth? Go right ahead. Table's yours.
All episodes of Pro Wrestling Report obviously are available at our website, pwrshow.com. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube via that same channel. Get the latest episode dropped into your email inbox every time it happens. Follow us on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter, and on Facebook, facebook.com/PWR Show. Our episodes are also available on some TiVo players and on the Roku player and on many different online channels, so you can always find the Pro Wrestling Report somewhere on the interwebs.
Well, Dameon, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate it. You know, Dameon, I always say this at the end of every show. I would do this for a living, but if I couldn't, I would do it anyway. Why? Because I love talking wrestling. Dameon Nelson, thank you for coming on Big Ray's Wrestling Show. I hope to see you real soon, buddy.
Thank you, Ray. Same here.
Take care, brother.
Thank you.